Hello and welcome to the Charles Cook Podcast. The focus of this podcast is the local and state issues here in the state of Tennessee. You can follow my podcast on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, TuneIn, Alexa, and just Google. Just search the Charles Cook Podcast and you'll find it. You can also find me on Rumble. Uh, just like and subscribe on any of those platforms, and you'll get updated whenever I upload new content. And if you'd like to email me, get in touch with me about a podcast idea or maybe joining me, just email me at charlescookpodcast@gmail.com. Today, my guest is Angela Maden. Did I say that correct?
It's actually Madden, but it looks like it should be Maiden.
Okay, Angela Maden. She was first born in the hospital in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and was born again at a tent revival in Knoxville, Tennessee. Most important part.
Yes.
And thanks to Jesus for that. It's by His grace that she's been chasing him over half of her life, and His generosity reward and obedience has been a blessing in her life, and serving children and her family across a broad spectrum of needs and abilities. She has a master's degree in education from SMU, along with teaching certifications in special needs. Okay, and you also work with the National Right to Life and is the vice president of the Tennessee Right to Life. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So, and she serves as director of Children's Days Out PDO program at Calvary Chapel in Knoxville. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Good deal. Thank you for joining me today, Angela. And we have some important information to talk about what's going on here in the state of Tennessee since we had the Dobbs ruling last summer. I think a lot of people didn't see that coming, but God works,
Yes.
and so it worked out. And so the abortion issue was sent back to the states. And with that, I'll let you take over and start talking about where we're at and what's going on.
Well, thank you, Charles. I so appreciate you doing this and giving your time. It's so important that we continue these conversations across the states. And I'm really honored to be your guest today. So like you said, in 1973, we got Roe v. Wade and Doe v. Bolton, and that was sort of the tyranny on Tennessee for until last summer. And before that date, Tennessee was a pro-life state. We were one of 30 states that had laws in place that said abortion was illegal. And so then, praise the Lord, Roe is overturned and Dobbs becomes the law of the land, and it does return to the state of Tennessee. We were ready. Pro-life Tennesseans were ready, and Tennessee Right to Life was ready. In 2019, we had put through a bill called the Human Life Protection Act, which said that if any part of Roe, in part or in whole, that Roe v. Wade was overturned, that Tennessee would revert back to its pro-life laws. And once again, Tennessee became a pro-life state, and the Human Life Protection Act went into effect in August of 25th, last summer. It's a very good bill. It's a 2-page bill. It's a very simple bill. It says that abortion is illegal in the state, but there is a provision to protect the life of the mother from death or permanent bodily damage. And so that provision was in there in the law. And then the elections came, right? And so that's good news, because 94% of the Tennessee Right to Life endorsed candidates won. We still had a super majority. We should be celebrating.
Right. Let me interrupt you here. Just
Sure.
put in a little bit of information. That original bill in 2019 was House Bill 077. And I think it was sponsored in the House by Michael Van Husk. Is that correct?
I don't really recall.
Yeah,
I've got a copy of the bill, but I don't remember.
And Mark Pody in the Senate. And so if anybody wants to look go and Google and look that up, and see what current House members are already sitting there that voted for this bill. So
Mhm.
that's what I would say. And then ask yourself, why are they changing now? So sorry to interrupt you and throw you off track, but I wanted to throw that information out there.
No, that's really important because many of the members who are still sitting in the General Assembly supported it, voted for it, including Senator Briggs, who we will probably have the opportunity to talk about.
And Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, who was
Yes,
Speaker then, but he was
right.
still a House member.
Right. So the Human Life Protection Act is a very strong law. It's one of the best laws in the United States to protect the unborn and their pregnant moms and their families. And so it was written with the intention of mind to save lives. And it's doing exactly what it was intended to do. So since August, we have been saving over 900 children every single month from abortion. That is really, really great news. And we should celebrate those births.
Absolutely. Yes.
And then, like I said, we had elections, still a supermajority, should be celebrating, right? We won, folks. We won. And then conversations started coming up that we needed to clarify the Human Life Protection Act. And we are going to talk about a law that is being proposed right now that doesn't clarify, it definitely weakens the Human Life Protection Act. And folks on our side who we have stood by and campaigned with and funded and supported have said that no, the Human Life Protection Act needs to be changed. And so they have gone after the Human Life Protection Act, and particularly the affirmative defense portion of the bill. I want to say that the affirmative defense portion of the bill does protect moms' lives. It's not an exception, but it does protect moms' lives. It protects babies, and it protects doctors that are practicing good medicine. We know it works because we've had the affirmative defense in place since 2017 with our post-viability ban, which said that babies after 20 weeks couldn't be aborted. We know that it works. No doctors have been charged, prosecuted, convicted for wrongly aborting babies. And since we've had that law in place, 3 other states, Texas, Ohio, and Kentucky, also have the same affirmative defense. And once again, doctors are not being prosecuted wrongly for saving moms' lives. So I think it's really important to know that we don't believe that any changes need to be made to the Human Life Protection Act. We would discuss clarifications if it makes doctors more comfortable. And the areas that we've heard about are ectopic pregnancies, miscarriage care, and care for stillborn babies. This law was not intended, nor has ever been used to prosecute a doctor for those treatments, because an ectopic pregnancy is not an abortion. The treatment for miscarriage care is not an elective abortion, and painful situations for a mom who miscarries or for a mom who is giving birth to a child who has already died. But those are not elective abortions. So I think it's really important that we understand that this bill, as it is written, was good, but we would still discuss clarification to the bill if it made doctors more comfortable. And then we get to where we are today. And that's about House Bill 883, which is also Senate Bill 745. Speaker Sexton set up a new subcommittee in the Health Committee, and it's called Population Health. And it was established this year, never before. And HB 883 was a caption bill. So even as of yesterday, if you go on to the Tennessee General Assembly website, the language of House Bill 883 is not what we're going to talk about. It was a funding bill for a memorial to children who had been killed in abortion. The new language, the amendment, that was held with this caption bill wasn't provided to us until Monday afternoon. The first vote in the House subcommittee was Tuesday afternoon.
Right.
So the very first thing that we did was ask for them to roll this bill, basically table it for a week so that we could have the time to review it. Obviously, the authors of it had been working on it for a long time. The original bill, the Human Life Protection Act, was 2 pages. This new bill that's supposed to clarify is 9 pages long.
Right. And one thing about what catches my attention about the population health subcommittee,
Yeah.
is that just another way of saying abortion health?
I think that the Tennessee Department of Health has a population health division. He may have picked up the name from there. I don't know. It feels a little creepy to me, but
Right.
right.
Throws up
And
a red flag.
yes, definitely. And because it was a new subcommittee, and it is, from my understanding, the only bills that it will deal with are abortion bills. So we did contact, lots of us contacted Chairman Carringer. She's out of the Knoxville area, asked her to roll this bill to give us the opportunity to review it, and she said no. So Monday afternoon at 1, we get the language. Tuesday afternoon, it goes to the subcommittee, they vote on it, and they pass it. Many of our local folks are on this committee, including Andrew Farmer, and he also voted for it. The only no vote that we got, and I'm so grateful for him, is Brian Terry. And he is actually the chairman of the full health committee for the House, and they will be hearing it next Wednesday.
Right. Yeah, I did take time to go watch that full committee on this bill.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually have it queued up later when we talk about what happened. I can actually play the video of Cameron Sexton coming down from his perch.
Yeah, his 6th floor office on high,
Yeah.
to not vote on the bill, but share what he thought were important words for the committee.
Right.
But I think it's important for us to talk about why we oppose the bill.
Mm-hmm.
We would not, Tennessee Right to Life would not oppose this bill if it was a clarifying bill. We would not. We oppose it because it is not, hear me, it is not a pro-life bill. Paul Linton, who is a constitutional expert, said this, and I'm going to just read it so I can get his words right. But he says, this law does not clarify, but rewrites state law and creates an abortion law that in practice, if not in principle, is unenforceable. So that doesn't sound like any clarification bill to us.
I think that's what they want.
Yes. It feels very much that this is a chipping away, an opening of a door of abortion on demand. And I think it's also important to talk about who we are, who Tennessee Right to Life is. We are the oldest and largest pro-life organization in the state. We've been writing and supporting and working with legislators for almost 50 years to make sure that the humanity of the unborn and their families are protected. We're a very reliable pro-life organization. And you can look at our record to prove that. Because of our work since Roe over the last 50 years, we have things like informed consent, telling a woman what she is about to experience and the complications and risks to her. We have the 48-hour waiting period. It's super important that women are given the time. This is a life and death decision, and it allows them to consider all of the information they're given and also not to feel coercion from family and friends. We have the post-viability ban, which I spoke of earlier, which says that after 20 weeks, a baby cannot be aborted. We have the reversal pill abortion ban. something that we're proud of. We know that there is a protocol that works after the first pill, and nationwide, 4,000 babies have been saved because of the reversal. And then the fetal remains bill, which says that those children that die in abortion clinics are treated with humanity and dignity and respect instead of thrown in the trash can. And so that's the kind of work that we've done over the last 50 years. And so I think it's important that when we say this is not a pro-life bill, that we are given the opportunity to explain why.
Right, right. And that's one of the reasons why I got you here this morning to speak on it and help you get the message out and let everyone know that what's going on with our Republican supermajority legislature in the state. And one thing I want to add here is, you know, they all voted for this. Most of the supermajority voted for this bill in 2015, and I think they did it in the mindset, wow, the Supreme Court will never act on this, but the Supreme Court did, and they took all the endorsements, they took the money, they took their nice scores that they got back to their constituents and talk about how they were endorsed by the Tennessee Right to Life and everything, and played politics with it. And now, when the Supreme Court come in and ruled what they did, they're getting a little bit of pushback, and from here and there, and now they're trying to wiggle it, you know, saying it wasn't a perfect bill, or maybe it wasn't.
Maybe it was.
Clarification is one thing. Setting up wiggle room to give doctors basically get out of jail free card is totally different.
Right. And so there are at least 4 main areas in this 9-page bill that we struggle with. And the first is that many of our pro-life laws that are currently on the books would be removed. It actually removes the legal code. And so right now, our heartbeat bill, which we don't technically need because of the Human Life Protection Act. The Human Life Protection Act protects babies at day 1. Heartbeat bill doesn't go into effect until the 6th week. But if we remove that from the books and the Human Life Protection Act goes down, then we lose both of those protections. It also rewrites informed consent. And so that's another major law that we put into place during the Roe era. And it does away with the 48-hour waiting period. So you have rewritten Tennessee law. So this is not clarification. Once again, you are rewriting the laws. Physicians are also given lots of latitude, lots of subjective latitude. So if they believe that an unborn child has a lethal fetal anomaly, or if the baby is incompatible with life, they can abort that child. Those are very open to interpretation and discretion of the physician alone. Once again, it's very subjective. The other thing it does is that if a physician is charged with performing an illegal abortion, they have the right to go before a medical board before the criminal case is heard. There is no other defendant in a criminal case that is given that kind of support in our legal code. So why are these doctors who may be killing unborn children giving this kind of benefit? And then one of the other things that we're very concerned about is that if a physician chooses to end the life of the baby, they can claim that it was to prevent or treat a medical condition. No existing condition has to occur. So a baby could be aborted to prevent a condition that never, ever comes to be. Once again, Paul Linton said that this wording alone on that section would effectively nullify the prohibition of abortion in Tennessee, basically throw the Human Life Protection Act out the window. So I think based on those 4 things, it's very clear that this is not a pro-life law.
Correct. It's, as I said, it's nothing but to create wiggle room for abortions to start taking place again and giving doctors cover for doing it.
Right. And, Charles, so I've told you who we are. I've told you who the bill is. And so I've given you some background. I also want to let you know who's supporting it, because I think that that is a part of the picture that we can't forget and we need to look at. So the TMA and the hospital lobbyists, who are not known pro-life organizations, are supporting this bill. They didn't support informed consent. They never lobbied for us for the 48-hour waiting period, for the post-viability ban, not the abortion pill reversal act, none of it, not even the fetal remains bill. So they have made it very clear who they are. On TMA's website, of course, one of their legislative priorities for 2023 is to change our trigger law. And the last sentence, I think, is very telling. It says, other changes are needed in the law so physicians can feel safe addressing fetal anomalies and other common pregnancy complications. That doesn't sound like life of the mother concerns to me at all.
No. So, well,
and then, on the House subcommittee, Clemens, a very pro-abortion Democrat on the subcommittee, of course, voted for it. He has a very strong pro-abortion track record. And this year, he is the co-sponsor for the Fundamental Right to Reproductive Health Act, basically an abortion for any reason at any time bill that decriminalizes abortion. Now, if he supports it, our pro-life folks on that committee should have gone, wait, there must be a reason that this pro-abort is supporting this bill. I wonder if I need to take a minute to reread this. But that didn't happen.
no.
What did happen, Charles? Since you've got the clip, I'll let you show that.
Yeah. Well, what I will say is that leading into this, the attorney for Tennessee Right to Life was speaking and answering questions about the law itself. And he did say that, those who voted for this, their score would be impacted by this. I saw nothing wrong with it. Trust me, I've talked to politicians a lot worse. I mean, I don't cuss them or anything. I've never done that, but
I'm glad.
I don't know what I think and, the repercussions of things. So, what I want to do here is I want to cue this up and let me share my screen here. And can you see that?
I can.
Okay, let me play this where Cameron Sexton comes down. It should be right along here.
So we've got one more member that would like to speak, and that would be Speaker Sexton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Helton Haynes, thank you for this bill. Let me just say, I'm down here not because I think this vote's going to be close. I'm down here because something happened that I've never experienced in my time down here, which was somebody on a committee testifying, tried to intimidate our members by telling them they're going to score them a vote. You can have those conversations in your room. You can have those conversations in email. But to do it in the committee, to try to intimidate this committee to go a certain direction is uncalled for. So I'm here to support, to support this bill, to show you all the support on this committee, whoever votes for it, that I stand with you and not having the intimidation come before this committee. Thank you.
Okay. So now I will speak it. Cameron Sexton understands intimidation tactics. He's used them as Speaker of the House. And a lot of people don't know how the inner politics and subcommittee chairmanships and all that stuff work. And he used that in 2021 when he removed Bruce Griffey from committees and stuff. I think it was bills dealing with immigration. And so he understands what intimidation is. And basically what he what he was setting up in his high perch in his office was probably watching online the committee and heard the attorney mention the scoring. And he thought, oh Lord, if they're going to talk bad about or show these guys score, these representative scores to their constituents, they might get a little nervous here and may vote against this. So I better go down and be seen to shore up the vote. This is how this stuff works. And so he went down to be seen and let the people know, hey, I'm watching. I see what's going on. I've got your back, and I'm not going to let these guys come in here and intimidate you. So I've got your back, and I'm here to make sure you're going to vote the right way on this bill. That was what that was all about.
It certainly concerns me that our attorney Will Brewer, who is just a stand-up guy. I mean, he is smart. His heart is right. He's incredibly smart. He handles this with great respect for members of Congress. He did not say this in a threatening way, but part of our job is advocacy, and part of what we exist to do is to tell voters how our assemblymen, how our elected officials vote on these bills that affect life. And so that is part of our responsibility. And Will just told them that that would be something that we would be doing, of course, just like any advocacy group would be doing. So it greatly concerned me that the speaker came down and felt like he needed to do that publicly.
Yeah, if it was a gun rights bill, something to do with gun legislation or something, they would, uh, you know, the gun lobby group organizations do it all the time, and even if it's anti-gun, they do it. And as you said, the ACLU threatened in another committee hearing threatened to file a lawsuit against the state, and that didn't get the chairman, the Speaker of the House, down to speak on that. So he knows what this is. This is a hot button bill issue, and they're trying to get this through. And someone trying to call me there. Sorry about that. And
No problem.
but you know, and he knows that the pressure's on these members. And once as you said, they hit all this in a caption bill. And now once they pop the top on this thing and it gets exposed what they're doing, well, it's already out of the subcommittee, headed for the full committee. And then after it's out of there, it's probably going to hit the House floor for a vote.
Right.
So.
And that will be an ugly, ugly occasion.
Absolutely. And it should be. It should be an ugly fight on the floor.
And I just want to remind all of your listeners that we are talking about preventing elective abortions. And an elective abortion has only one intent, and that is to kill an unborn baby. I mean, we use the word abortion, we just sort of toss it around like it's just another political word, but it's a life or death word. And there are children's lives and generations of Tennesseans whose lives are on the line with this. And there is no way that you can read this bill and say that it clarifies the prevention of the death of a mom or any serious bodily injury. You just can't.
Right. And, and as you said before, just go look and see who's actually behind this bill and see who's pushing it. And it's not conservative organizations. It's all liberal backed organizations. And most of them are from the healthcare industry. And by the way, to give the Tennessee Conservative News a plug, they put out a Follow the Money publication last night. And if you go look and see most of these people where they get most of their money, like Sexton from the healthcare lobby. So but check it out. And kind of opens up your eyes and see where their money's coming from. And it makes you understand that even though they're supposed to be conservative Republicans, they're taking a lot of money from liberal organizations. And that's who they dance to.
And even in the subcommittee room, when the bill was heard, there were folks supporting it that had signs that said abortion is healthcare.
I saw
There's
that.
not one pro-life person, one pro-life organization that believes that the intentional killing of unborn children is healthcare. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was another
And
one
they-
saying that said, let doctors be doctors and or patients be patients, or, whatever. But they didn't have that kind of thought when it comes to COVID. But I know we're talking about, uh, the life of a child, of a baby, a defenseless baby that can't do anything. And I thank you for people like you who have worked so hard to defend the innocent. And I believe God will reward you very well for that.
Well, it's an honor, it's a duty, it's a responsibility. And if your members want something they can do, because I feel like we all need to respond, right? Faith without works is dead, folks. So let's put it into practice. And I would say, first, go ahead and email and call all of the folks that are on the committee, on the full health committee, and let them know how you stand. Be prepared with some of those talking points. You can find them on our website at tnrtl.org. And be prepared to respond to that. I would also tell you to call or email Representative Terry and thank him. Thank him for standing up, for doing the right thing, for standing for innocent human life. Lieutenant Governor McNally has also done the same thing. So I would encourage you on this issue to reach out to him and thank him. And then look at your senators. Because this vote will probably go to the Senate within the next couple of weeks. So look at them and let them know this is not a pro-life bill. You do not support it. If you can, come to the full committee meeting on Wednesday, the 22nd. I believe that the committee starts at 3:30, but I would check the website for that. And of course, we've got to pray. We need to pray for those reps who I believe some have been misled and made decisions because friends asked them to support bills or they just didn't take the time to read it. But let's pray for them that they have the courage to say, hey, I was wrong, but now I'm going to do the right thing. That's a very biblical thing to say. I was wrong. Please forgive me. And now I'm going to do the right thing. So let's really pray that eyes and ears are opened so that we can get this thing done and put away by next Wednesday. And then if we need to move on to talk about clarifying the bill, then we certainly can, because there are ways to clarify this law that will not weaken it. And that's the thing that we can't allow to happen.
Yes. And I think the attorney actually talked about that the other day in the committee meeting. And one thing I would say is also, even though it hasn't made it to the full House floor, if you know your representative, talk to them. Talk to them, email them. Don't wait till it comes to full House vote. Go ahead and contact them. Let them know, hey, this is coming down the pike. Tennessee Right to Life is against this, and you should stand against it as well. And I would even say, let the people in church know. You're going to be in church tomorrow. Hopefully you will. Let the folks at church know. And if your pastor has enough guts to mention it from the pulpit, let him know, and or her or whoever, and speak on it, and let's get some people aware of what's going on, because it's been quiet, been kept underwater. So.
It's moving very quickly, and so we've got to stop it now. And I would say there's probably a reason why it's moving very quickly.
Absolutely. They want this done and passed and say, oh, I didn't realize it happened so quick. And, we didn't have a chance to look at it. That's that's what we do. And people see what goes on in Washington and how all those bills get passed without reading them and everything. And this is exactly what happened here with this bill. You know, they they disguised it as something else in these caption bills, and then boom, they knew exactly what they were doing. And this tells you, if that alone does not tell you how deceitful these people are, then I don't know what else will, because they would hide something like that to go after an abortion law to justify cover for a doctor for performing abortions.
Right. Because just because you wear a white coat doesn't mean that you wear a white hat, and it doesn't speak to the character of your nature. And so remember that when all those doctors stand up, because every abortionist went to medical school, every abortionist practiced OBGYN before they just decided to start killing babies. So let's be really clear about support for pro-life bills that are truly pro-life.
Absolutely. Anything else you would need to get in before we sign off here?
No, I think we've given folks a lot to work on. Of course, if you need any information, go to our website. We also have a Facebook page, a Twitter account, an IG for Tennessee Right to Life. Lots of information. There are local chapters across the state. So if you'd like to be more involved, please look up one of those. I know there's a great chapter in Knoxville, a great chapter in Sevier County, a great chapter in Chattanooga, and then some out west as well. So let's get on this while we can make a difference, because if this passes, it will be very detrimental to the state.
All right, great deal. All right. Thank you, Angela, for coming and joining me and helping get the information out. Um, let's all be praying that this fails and that these folks will grow a little bit of a backbone between now and Tuesday, and whenever it comes up for a full vote, if it does, and that people will do the right thing. And so with that, thank you. God bless you for the work that you do. I'm sure he will. And thank you for joining me, and have a blessed day.
Thank you, Charles.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.